The fundamental aspect of a federal building is it's for the people.
Good design is good for everyone.
Public architecture demands a great deal of responsibility.
The Design Excellence program was a game changer.
Great architecture rarely happens, if ever, without great clients.
That's been an incredible change in the way the federal government has gone about doing their projects.
The strongest thing that we can do is to do great civic architecture that reflects the values of our country.
If you look throughout history, from the Romans all the way through, it's that arrangement of space, that arrangement of public space and public buildings, which are things that we all see and admire and go back and study and define us as a people.
Each one of us, you, I, everyone, has a responsibility to make sure that the built environment is as beautiful, as efficient, as functional, and as representative of our culture as it can be.
Good design is good for everyone. It's good for the people that work in the building. It's good for the people that visit the building. It's good for the people that just pass by the building.
Public architecture demands a great deal of responsibility, an enormous sense of responsibility about how you present, how we think about the world today.
You are the fiduciary for the public. You've got to carry that forward for the public. That's the privilege and the responsibility of an architect in public buildings, I believe.
We need to understand that the federal government, by its very size and power and the richness of its holdings, has probably proportionately a bigger responsibility.
In the early period of federal architecture, you saw a particular style that embraced certain ideals, certain principles of quality, of understanding of the human experience, and expressing those in a way that really reflects the ideals of our culture. Through a host of means in the 70s and 60s, that began to change dramatically, and we then began to look at federal architecture really as about expediency.
Architecture was getting to a point that it was pretty monotonous, that there wasn't innovation, and there was distraction amongst a whole different vying interests for how to build buildings.
Most public and civic buildings were bottom line operations without much concern for anything beyond minimal function, done by a few politically well-connected firms.
The quality of the federal design at that time in history was really not a very significant architecture. When I served on the Design Awards jury in '92 as chairman of that jury, things hadn't changed dramatically, and we just could not find a project worthy of the award, so we did not give any new buildings an award. As it turned out, the previous jury, led by Hugh Hardy, had not as well.
It was almost impossible to talk about high design standards with the crop of stuff that was there. We all found each other saying, well, why not? Why couldn't federal architecture have the high standards it once did?
I like to think that I was in at the creation of Design Excellence because I had the good fortune to be selected as the design architect for the Boston Courthouse, the clients for which were two extraordinary judges, both of whom were passionately committed to design excellence and passionately committed to the idea that a courthouse is a public building.
We wanted to make the selection process that would make it perhaps more attractive for architects who might otherwise not think about government work. What we wanted was a person who was concerned with design in the broadest sense to bring that perspective to bear on a new project. Our view was that the design of the building would grow out of our conversations with the architect.
The selection process for the Boston Courthouse served as a model for the design excellence selection process. That combination of commitment to the courthouse as a public building and commitment to design excellence was an important factor in helping the GSA to get the design excellence program started.
There was a lot of discourse around where architecture should go at the time, and so it was a natural moment. It was just a great moment.
The Design Excellence program was a game changer. It was an idea that was big and bold and forever transformed the nature of federal projects.
The intentions of the program was trying to find people with ideas. They had to perform, that was a given, but they had to push the state of the art of architecture.
What's truly amazing is how the GSA could have developed a program that became enticing to the country's best architects. You had so many good architects suddenly interested in doing work for the GSA.
GSA has many processes involved with design excellence.
Peers play several roles. One of the peers is usually at the selection process at the very beginning.
Our role as peer reviewers in the selection process is to try to identify that designer that for a given budget and for a given project schedule will deliver to the federal government and in turn to the people of the United States the highest value.
Then the peers are brought in at various important design stages in the project.
There's a deep bench of really qualified peer reviewers.
GSA has done a great job in recruiting peers.
GSA, through their designers and through their peer review, are able to bring people to elevate the conversation, to show them visions that they don't know to aspire for.
I think it's helpful to have additional set of eyes who are not either emotionally or intellectually being part of the process, come in and look at the project as a whole.
As a peer reviewer myself, I really see myself as an advisor to the architect presenting as opposed to a critic who's trying to undermine or cut them down.
It was never critical, it was always productive. Good points were raised, very good points were raised. It caused us to step back and think a little further.
Really great conversations and great discussions about the strengths and weaknesses of a project, and the analysis, looking at a project and trying to hone in on what makes it good or bad is amazing.
It's nice to see architects, instead of competing with each other and trying to down each other, come together and help each other to get better product, better projects, and better quality.
One of the things that we see emerging in the GSA is renewed passion for design and caring about design, asking deeper questions beyond conventionally defined well-designed buildings or beautiful buildings, but taking a step even further and talking about the fundamental performance.
There is an insistence in fairly equal terms that the architecture for the government of the United States both perform and that it be beautiful and be moving.
When the whole mission of sustainability became important, this was really interwoven into the Design Excellence program.
Today, you cannot separate sustainability from design excellence. They are absolutely intrinsic.
What's also been very interesting to me is this approach of taking other disciplines and bring them in to critique the work that is being put forward. And I don't really know of another agency that has done that.
I think it's very exciting that now peer reviews include people with expertise in sustainability, urban designers, landscape architects, contractors doing peer review of construction excellence. The idea that we can all, always, 100% of the time, improve the quality of what we're doing.
The United States has not always invested well in our public architecture, and I think that this program is an example of the positive outcome of making the right kind of investments.
GSA is one of the most sophisticated clients we've ever worked for. You have to bring your A team to GSA work because you're going to have discussions at a higher level than you've ever had them before.
The federal government has received buildings out of that process that are well above what they would have gotten 20, 25 years ago.
Design excellence is not a one-liner. It's not an event. It's not about a particular building. It's about the way that spaces encourage social use, the way that a building tells you what it's about, and in the process of telling you what it's about, says something about the values that we cherish.
Architecture is a working relationship that demands negotiation, collaboration to realize something of this type of significance. And whether it's a courthouse or a federal building, it doesn't matter. It represents who we are as a culture. It couldn't be more important.
The federal government, because it has a longer horizon of what the buildings are supposed to be for and what their purpose of their public spaces are for, there's no reason that those aren't some of the best we build in this period in history.
The Design Excellence Program has become one of the most successful architectural programs in the country. Without question, the Design Excellence Program is a great thing for America.